and I'm going to introduce a little more formally Jason Hoppel, who we are going to spotlight. Jason, I'm also going to give you the award for the best featured guest wallpaper, because that is some good wallpaper. I love it so much. And I know you're going to launch into this drink in just a moment, so we can all make it along with you. But, you know, while you're making the drink, we would love to kind of hear from you, because you've worked in just about every aspect of the food industry that there is. You've created cocktail menus. You've been a beverage director. You've been a service director. We are experts at the hand clutch, which you can tell everyone about if you want to share that little secret of us.
That should be on your crossboard today. How many times I touch my chest?
Quite a lot. So we would love to, as you're making the drink for us, just kind of tell us about some of these different experiences and maybe how it's influencing what you do now as a salesperson for a great distribution company in DC, and also, you know, how that's affecting how you're dealing with what's going on right now. So Jason, I'm ready. Let's make a drink.
I am totally ready. I'm on my second one, so it's actually gonna be a lot of fun.
Woohoo!
So I work for Prestige Detroit out of Washington, D.C. It is actually part of a tri-state, what we call the DMV, Delaware, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. So we actually sell spirits and wine to liquor stores, restaurants, hotels, large venues, casinos, things like that. So, I featured a couple of our brands that we carry, the Rye, the Dolan, and the Copper and King, and just some things that I thought, I don't know, I love to have like little higher end spirits when I make my drinks at home instead of things you might get at a cocktail bar. I think the flavor's a little stronger, and we'll definitely have some good times. Like Belinda said, I moved from New York City, so I was there for 12 years. We've known each other since '09, right, Belinda?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
When we were like 11. Yeah.
Yeah, right? I know. I'm just like 27 now. But it's been a lot of fun moving to DC the last couple of years and rebuilding new contacts and relationships with the industry. So I'm actually, anything that's sent to Venmo with me today will actually be sent to the DC Bartenders Guild for bartenders who are out of work because of the pandemic and quarantine. So at least benefits them to get meals. There's actually programs here in DC that are giving meals to bartenders and restaurant employees for free. They can go pick them up daily. So. And we also have World Central Kitchen, which is giving out meals per day, which just hit 400,000 meals in 10 weeks out of one location.
That's Jose Andreas's, right?
Yeah, I was down there on Tuesday last week, and it was a really cool operation. We gave them like some free beer and, you know, wine and things like that. So it was a lot of fun to go down and sort of thank them for keeping the community alive and, you know, keeping people fed, which is the most important thing. So.
All right, friend, I'm ready. Let's do this.
Oh my! So I'm going to start with the bitters first, because I always forget them. So I put them in first. So it's 2 dashes of an orange bitter. This is the Vucaré. I did put that lovely pronunciation for everyone, Vucaré, because it is French. But it also means French Quarter. It's an old cocktail from the 1930s from an old bar. I'm using Pichot, which is a bitter that was actually founded by a pharmacy to sort of keep people's ailments down. And then the other is a Trinidadian bitter called Angostura, and the orange cap, of course, denoting an orange bitter. You can use a non-orange bitter. If you want to use a lemon-based bitter, you can do that. I just like flavors of orange. The great thing about this cocktail is you can sort of adapt it to what you want to do. Next, we're going to do a rye. This is a cask strength rye, so it's 56% alcohol. So it's going to be higher than something like Rittenhouse or Sazerac, which are always a great rye substitute if you have those at home. Great. The other option is bourbon. Who doesn't love bourbon? It's a little sweeter. Rye can be a little spicier, can add a little bit more body. So we're going to do that. So it's 1 ounce. The great thing, it's really easy to do is, as you can see, I bought 750s of each of these. This can make 25 cocktails because you have 1 ounce of each of these. So the little money up front will actually help you in the long run and, you know, sleep better at night.
Hey, Jason, how many dashes of the bitters did you put into your glass? And then secondly, so you like to build this in the actual glass, right? The glass that you're going to drink it in?
Build it in the glass. I'm going to do the Yari, as I mentioned, just because I'm making 2, because my husband's on the other side of the screen watching TV, so he's going to have a second drink and take a nap. So it'll be fun. Yeah, but yeah, you can make it in the drink and stir it as well. Just depends on which kind of glass you have. Mine have dimples in them, so it's hard to stir the glass. So I just finish it in there with another rocks.
And Hoppel, which kind of ice? I've got like the big old cubes and I've got the smaller ones.
So I have lots of ice. Like I have my 6 2x2 or 3x2, whatever they call it, which is from Tavello, which is this cool Portland company. They're all like rubbery, so you can like put it in and out. And then we have this other cool one. Oops, here it is. It's a skull. So we make all these different ones in our house. So I can batch them out and like put them in plastic bags, use them for later. So you can make large batches if you're having a party. It's super fun to have different types of ice. You can also use just some right out of the refrigerator.
I have a Death Star ice cube mold, but I didn't want to admit it until now.
Well,
that's so cool, Belinda.
I have that too. It's okay. This is the right crowd.
Thank you.
So we started with the rye. It's 1 ounce of each. I'm doing a little bit larger. I'm doing a double batch, so it's 2 ounces for me. The next one is vermouth. Vermouth is key, and why I like to talk about vermouth, it's something that we don't talk about. This is Dolan. The cool thing that they have on the back is they have a place to put a date for when you open it, because vermouth is a wine-based spirit. And why I point this out is wine-based spirits go bad. So you have 2 to 4 weeks roughly to use this. Put it in the refrigerator after you've opened it, and then you can use it however you want, in Manhattans or other cocktails that call for vermouth. And obviously there's white, there's dry, there's red, there's so many different styles. So, but that is to keep it fresh, and is also, that's fresh when you pull it out of the refrigerator for later. And then,
don't people have vermouths? Like, I feel like I have some bottles that I've maybe had for years.
I think a lot of people have dusty vermouths, and just throw them out, buy them. They're actually quite inexpensive because they're wine-based. So this one is Dolan. It's one of the original out of France, Chambray. The family's been making this vermouth since the 1800s. It's one of the ones you're going to find in the market the most.
Jason, what's the pour in the vermouth? Sorry.
1 ounce.
1 ounce.
So it's 1
So
ounce.
we actually have some questions if we could get into that.
Totally.
Really
I can't see them, but
yeah.
No, like folks for you.
Yeah. So can we highlight Jessica really quick?
do it. Awesome. You're doing it. I'm going to finish making the drink with the.
Jessica, go ahead and ask Jason a question.
So I was, as someone who's trying to build up my home bar, I kind of started searching for bitters that I could have at home. I'm just curious as to what it, like, theoretically they add to a cocktail and why we really need them, because they're really expensive.
They are expensive because they're spirit-based. There's also a lot of botanicals that go with them.
Yeah.
A lot of them are different barks that might be indigenous to, like Trinidad, for example, the oranges. A lot of them have, there's so many ingredients, and some of them that the steeping and things like that is costing a little bit more to make them. Now they come in different sizes, so always try to find the smallest bottle because they do go a long way. As well, they're actually good for that hangover cure the next morning, and sort of like a sparkling water and soda with bitters is a great way of just like sort of waking up in the morning and having a little bitters. But yeah, definitely there's a lot of options out there. It's more, what do you want to try? You can buy fig, you can buy chocolate. There's so many flavors now that it's abundant. Great question.
Awesome. Bailey has a question as well. If we could spotlight B Street really quick.
B Street.
The rapper otherwise known as.
Where'd she go? There she is. I found
Hey
her.
guys, I was wondering if there is a good suggestion for a substitute for cognac. I have Dolan, I have rye, but I don't have cognac.
Yeah, brandy, or I guess you could also probably use bourbon in some respect. Brandy is just a great, all cognac is what they classify as a brandy. So I'm using one out of Kentucky, but it's a grape-based spirit. So if you have something that's grape-based and it has some age to it, so it have a certain color like this one, but you can basically substitute Armagnac, cognac. You could do Calvados if you have it. There's a lot of the brandy categories people don't associate with brandy because it's a bigger category than like Calvados or cognac.
So like something that's a little fruity or made from fruit.
Totally.
Yeah.
Would Pinot de Charance suffice?
Yeah, Pinot de Charente, Pinot would actually work really well. It is going to add a little bit more sweetness, so maybe touch down a little bit. It does have brandy as a base and then fresh grape must. But yes, you can definitely use that.
Got it.
Love it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I love Pinot de Charente. Just chill it, drink it at home. It's like the best thing. Yeah, for your home bar too, if you're looking to add like just some base things like bourbon or rye, it all is a preference obviously as to what you want to add. Gin, make sure you sort of have like what like bartenders call the well, which is like their sort of playground for making a cocktail. So, I mean, Ko could probably talk more about what he uses at his restaurants. There's gin, vodka-based rum. It was a big category, in my opinion, coming up. Agave-based spirits, which would be tequila or mezcal. So just having it at home is fun to sip on their own. Yeah.
We're so excited to sip this sucker and get it garnished. So sorry, Kaho, I'm gonna sip it before we garnish it.
Oh, that's okay. No worries.
Hey, the garnish is fun. I made a fleur-de-lis, so I don't know, Ko, did I do okay?
Oh, that is amazing. I was going to do that if I had more time, but I love it.
That looks great, Jason.
That is fantastic.
We've got Jason's Venmo information, which we'll also send to you in a post brunch email like we always do. Sometimes it comes on Monday, sometimes it comes on Friday. Jason, we loved getting a little bit of your magic today. Thank you for sharing. I've gotten a lot of your magic over the years, and I'm glad that this group got to get a little. And
Belinda.
here today. And the next step, because I'm ready to have the full experience on this drink, Matt, is going to be up to you to introduce.
Yeah. So next, guys. Well, first, if anyone's following along with the bingo, here it is. So far, you have made a smoky cocktail. You can greet a first-time bruncher as well. Show us your bottle, raise your glass with us. If you've done any of those things, mark them down, screenshot this, send it to Belinda, and you will get the canned wine for our next week's guest as your prize.
You're going to get 2 cases of canned wines from my friend Connor Drexler, who owns Nomakai, and he's going to be teaching us how to use them to make cocktails next week. So it's a nice prize for next week. And if you have anything, then Mark just wins every week, which is also fine.
Yeah. All right, next guest, we have Kaho Lo joining us from the Bay Area. So we're going to spotlight him really and give him a little introduction. So Kaho, so awesome to have you, man. And I know that you are a virtual brunch legend. I saw you. I was wondering how you were recording.
Look at that setup.
Exactly, and now I could see it on your.
Yeah, I have my phone to my board, and then I got my laptop too.
I thought you were wearing something on like your head, like
no GoPro attached to me. No.
Keep the hair right.
Yeah. But Kyle, so I know that you work for Adobe. You're a software developer. We all are big fans of Adobe. And but you know, if anyone follows you on Instagram, if anyone has interacted with you during virtual brunch, it's obvious that you have a really talent and for bartending. Can you just talk a little bit about where that started? And is there anything else that you give as much passion to aside from like software developing and bartending, or is that like your 2 things?
Yeah. So you know, like Mark and like Matt and Belinda said, you know, I'm a cocktail enthusiast. I'm a software engineer by day, but you know, this is my hobby when I come home after work, or these days just stay home, come downstairs.
Also during work, Kaho now.
Right. Also during work now. No one's checking on me. I'm not in the office. Yeah, it really started about 2.5 years ago. I was on a trip to New York City, and I went to Death & Co. for the first time. And I was just, blown away by the quality of the cocktails. It was just so much better ingredients, better technique than anything I've ever had. And so I got their book and just made, almost like every cocktail and infusion and syrup in the book. And that really, started me on this passion and, slowly building up my home bar. And, I just really love, garnishes as well. I think they're, very whimsical and fun. I try to usually relate the garnish either to maybe the history of the drink or the name of the drink, or maybe, where it's from. I usually try to relate it in some way. Like Jason did, the fleur-de-lis for the Vocare was very fitting. I just felt like I didn't have time to do that this morning, or a Mardi Gras mask or something like that would have been cool.
A Mardi Gras mask? You can make that with an orange?
Sure. You could make anything, yeah. Or like I was thinking, it's from the carousel bar. You could carve a horse or something like that. If one.
We're gonna need that content, Kaho.
No pressure. But today I'm going to try to show 3 kind of easier ones, but still kind of unique and fun that hopefully most people can do.
Let's do it. I'm excited.
So are we going to do a lemon or an orange or first, or walk us through it?
Yeah. Can you spotlight my phone?
Yeah, for sure. Is it the Kaho's bar one?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, so the great thing about most garnishes is that almost any citrus can work. I mean, orange is definitely the most versatile. It's a good size. Limes can be kind of fibrous and hard to work with sometimes. And so those could be a little tricky. But lemons can work too. Even grapefruits are great because they're so large. There's a lot of peel to work with, which I enjoy. I guess one thing to keep in mind is, the citrus should be pretty fresh, and kept in the fridge, kept in a bag, because you want to keep the moisture. If they're dry, sometimes the peels can be harder to work with, or they might crack or break as you zest them. So what we're going to start with first is probably one of my favorites, and I don't really see around much. So we're going to do this cute little heart garnish.
How cute!
So this, this will give you, an idea of what we're aiming for here. So we're going to start with our orange, and then get a good long strip, and then try to take as little pith as possible. So try to keep the peel as thin as possible, because that'll help make it more flexible to work with in the later steps.
Oh, so you need a pretty wide peeler. Well, I mean, is there a peeler that works better? That's a good looking one.
Yeah, I mean, good wide peel. I mean, I thought this was a pretty standard one. I mean, you can even just use a knife. Sometimes if I need a big piece, I'll just use a knife to carve out a piece myself, and then kind of just shave off excess pith. And then that's another thing too. If you're so inclined, sometimes you accidentally get too much pith, but then if you're good with a knife, you can just kind of peel a little bit off just to make it a little thinner, in case you got too much on the back there.
Oh, I think you should talk to Masterclass and get a little master.
We'll see about that. We'll see about that.
Some sponsorships waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you have this nice kind of long piece of garnish, and what we're aiming for here is to make a kind of long diamond shape. So you kind of envision, this will be the top point, and then this will be the side point, and then you just do, cut diagonally like that, and then cut the other side. And it doesn't have to be, super symmetrical or super perfect. We just want kind of that long diamond shape. So we'll do the other side.
So this is 2 cuts to make a diamond. Okay, got it.
Yeah, exactly. So now we kind of have this long diamond shape. And now what we're aiming to do is you want to cut a slit in the middle, but you don't want to be too close to the ends, because then you might accidentally, break it or crack it when it comes time to bend it into the heart shape. So you want to kind of start down a little bit, cut down, and then stop as well with a good amount of space left at the bottom. So we'll cut slit in the middle here.
My LaCroix water service is never going to be the same after this.
Perfect. So now we have this diamond with a little, slit in the middle. And so now, what we're trying to do is, if you bend this, top point forward, you can see how it's kind of starting to form that shape of the heart. So the goal is to almost kind of invert it slightly. You're trying to get this point, in through the middle, and that's how it hangs off the side of the glass.
You got it, Belinda.
So if you see like that,
Oh!
and then it can rest on the edge, just like that.
Wait, mine's not hanging. Does it hang? Wait. Oh, it's the.
Oh yeah, I think probably it's the other way.
Mine's backward.
So,
Okay, you almost
right,
got it.
exactly. You almost got it.
It like clips
Exactly.
on almost.
Right, exactly. Like it's going kind of
Oh,
behind a little bit.
How cute!
Super
Yeah,
cute.
there we go. Exactly. And I love this one. It's versatile. It works well on coupes. It works well on rock glasses. It's also one I don't really see often.
no, I've never seen it before. Libby.
Perfect. Libby, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And then also
That
when
is great.
you put your nose into the drink, you smell the aromas, and that actually.
Right.
how it tastes.
Exactly. And it surprisingly holds fairly well because it's kind of clipped on to itself. So, it's probably one of my favorite ones to make.
Nice job.
Did
Jessica's
you-
looks really great too.
Did you make it with a lemon, Belinda?
Yeah.
I tried. It doesn't work.
My orange went off the deep.
Oh, nice, Megan.
Oh, nice job, Nina and Megan. Team Nina and Megan. That's so fun. Love it.
Yeah.
All right, Tahoe, what's the next one? We're ready. This
All right.
you go to like 200 level.
All right. So the next one we're gonna make. So we're gonna do a little. So it's kind of like a necktie.
So cute.
And I do have these cocktail little mini clips. You can get them on Amazon. But even if you don't have these, you could still use it, especially for this drink. After you make it, you could kind of just put it on top of your nice clear block of ice. So you don't have to have the clip, but I think the clips are pretty fun to have and pretty.
And also right in time, like to get ready for Father's Day. So great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good timing. Right. Exactly. So we're going to start very similarly, where you need a nice thin long strip of orange peel. Get that there. And then, just to show, what we're going to try to do first is, we want to kind of cut this little trapezoid for the knot, and then, do, 2 long cuts for the body of the tie, and then finish off the bottom. And you want to make, the bottom kind of wider, so it kind of looks like that tie look. So what we're going to start with first is even out the top of it. So we'll straighten out one side. And then now we're trying to envision, okay, I want to cut, inwards diagonally to form that, top of the tie knot. So you could kind of just eyeball where it should be, 2 diagonal cuts. And then we want to just cut off the excess off the sides. So you can see here. So we've basically, formed the, top of the tie knot. And now we want to just do.
Also really good at origami.
I did used to do a lot of origami when I was a child. Yes. Well, how did you know that? And then now we want to do 2 long cuts on both sides to form the main body of the tie. So you just want to angle it a little bit and then cut down. And then you can always flip it over to the back, because if you want to make it symmetrical instead of having to deal with cutting the other side kind of awkwardly. So you could turn it. And then so now that we've done the 2 longer cuts, you kind of have to decide how long you want your tie and where you want the point to be. So we could just say somewhere like there, and you can make a cut, and then make a cut on the other side. And then so this one's a little short, but that's okay. And then what I love to have is these little pastry tips. For this one specifically, I like to poke a little hole, right where the tie knot would be, just to kind of emphasize the knot in the middle of the tie there. And then, like I said, you can clip to the side of the glass if you have the little clip, or even if you don't have those little clips, if you have a nice clear block of ice, you can put it on top like that, and I think that's really fun. And it almost fuses with the ice after a while, so it really won't go anywhere. So I think that's a great way to garnish as well.
Wow, that's cool.
Little trick, putting the beautiful thing on top of the ice cube is so gorgeous. I love that.
Especially if it nice clear block, then it looks really cool.
Uh-oh, I lost my heart. Okay, so there's a third one. Oh, nice. Nice job, Algie.
Love it. I love that the weight of clipping on it too. Exactly.
I just got my heart, so I'm a little behind, but I'm proud of my heart. I just fell.
No worries.
Gee, like Algie, your tie is legit. You got a nice wide swath of orange there. Well done.
Went to Croatia, so I learned all about the tie.
That is lovely.
I like that you put that little hanger on yours too. Clever.
Because I don't have my pastry tips with me.
Well done.
I love that. That's ingenious. Like a built-in clip there. I love
Really, really good. Bailey's got a little tie situation. Nice.
Bailey.
Nice.
All right, Cahill, we're ready.
All right.
1 down, 2 down. Let's do 3.
So the last one I have is, so this is like a little orange rose. And this works great, especially if you have a cocktail that's full of crushed ice or small ice, maybe a tiki drink or maybe a julep. And also, this one does, help if you have a cocktail pick, but it's not a must. And I could show you alternatives afterwards
Can you
too.
use like a what do you call it, toothpick instead, or?
Yeah, a toothpick could work as well. Yeah, any kind of pick.
Okay.
And so now what we're going to start with, and this one doesn't actually require any cutting as well. You want to, if you have a nice medium to small size citrus like this, you almost want to peel the whole thing, and you want to make sure it's unbroken. And you also want to make sure there's some curvature in the peel. So you start with the top, and then you're kind of peeling all the way around. And then when you get to the other end, you just want to make sure that, you're avoiding where you cut previously. So it's almost like, when you're trying to peel an apple in one unbroken piece. It's the same idea.
Maybe also best done sober, right?
Yeah, you don't want to peel your fingers or something when you're, I had 2 Bocarés at 10 a.m. Exactly.
Woohoo!
And it depends on the size of your citrus. You may not need to peel the entire thing. So when you feel like you've got enough, you can go ahead and stop it there. And then now that you have this nice long piece of peel, you want to start folding, rolling it over, and you want to start with this narrower, thinner end and save this curved part for the end. So you want to, fairly tightly. You don't want to crack it, but you want to roll it fairly tightly. So just roll it all the way, and then follow along the curve as well.
Hey, Cahill, so for this one, like having a little bit of pith is good, like because it gives it a little more structure, maybe?
Yeah, it gives it a little more structure. The white color on the inside is kind of nice as well. And so, as I said, right now, having the cocktail pick would help a lot, because that way you can kind of keep its shape. But I've had made drinks before where, especially if it has a lot of ice in it, I could kind of just, float it, on top of the drink as well. But it does really help to have a nice cocktail pick, and cocktail picks are fun, and I have a lot of them. They're fun to collect. So what I'm aiming for here is, the easier way could be, you could kind of puncture the whole way, all the way through. And sometimes that helps if you want to rest like your drink, the garnish on top of the glass. But what I like to do is, I want to get through all these layers. So I'm kind of starting in the middle here, and then poking my way through to the bottom.
So kind of diagonal, right?
Exactly. It has to be a bit diagonal.
Okay.
And then now, if you've gone through all the layers, now you have it nice and held together. And then you can add that to your drink. So now you have...
I made a tulip, not a rose.
any kind of flower, is a success, I think. So.
You guys, that's so fun. Yours is so beautiful. I need to practice a few more times.
Yeah, I mean, it takes practice. I've gone through, I have so much citrus sitting in my fridge that just looks like this. I forget to eat them. Eventually I have to juice them when they're totally out of peel. But, just have fun. Just think about shapes. Think about, like I said, the theme of the drink, the origins of the drink. And you can, just come up with, almost anything you want. It's just a blank canvas. So
Libby, yours is so good. Nice job, girl.
Libby is a protege in the making.
I know.
Very nice. I love it.
I mean, Libby, I don't know if you even need a garnish sensei, but Maybe Kaho will take you on.
I started following Kaho as soon as I saw that heart shape, and I've been trying ever since. This is the first time I actually got it.
Oh my gosh, Kaho, you're a protege.
Thank you. Thank you.
You guys, thank you. Kaho, thank you for sharing this wonderful thing. I'm so excited. I think it's
Thank
safe
you for having me.
to be peeling citrus all the time, every day now. And Kaho has a cause that he would love for us to contribute to if you are able to and feel so inclined. Kaho, can you tell us about this organization?
Yeah, so this organization, it's great because, you know, it's a nationwide organization, and it's not, you know, it's not money exactly, you know, going directly to people, but it's, what it is they use this money to buy produce boxes and food boxes, and they provide these food boxes to hospitality workers, you know, the families and children of hospitality workers, and they're very substantial boxes as well, like just, you know, lots of fresh produce, and it's just really helping to feed, you know, these hospitality workers who are just having, you know, such a hard time now, you know, especially, you know, now more than ever. So it's really great to, you know, be able to support them.
Thanks for calling that out, Kaho. We love you so much.
That was
Thank
awesome.
you.
Here's
Boozy.
Kaho's, his Instagram handle, Kaho's Bar, and the link below that is the link that you can donate to his awesome cause.
Thank you. So now it is my privilege, last but not least, now we've done the boozy part, a virtual boozy brunch, and we've also X'd off a few more things on the bingo card for this week. We have made a smoky cocktail, we've greeted some first timers, we've learned a new trick, etc. So now it is time for the food portion, and I cannot wait because I've always wanted to make a brisket at home. I've certainly purchased quite a lot of it, and Cheryl Jameson is the best person, arguably, on earth.
Yeah.
She just had to do that, and she just released this newest cookbook of hers, Texas Q, which a lot of us bought, and I've got my copy on my bookshelf. I'm ready to go, and she's going to take us through how to use this cool little smoker and/or the ones that a lot of us have jerry-rigged here at home, and then make a cool brunch dish with the brisket. Cheryl, yay. I'm so excited you're here. I would also love to hear from you a little bit as we launch into this recipe. I mean, I feel like you're one of those people who brought sexy back. I mean, barbecue years ago when you wrote your first barbecue cookbook and won awards for it. And it's so like cool now and people are so into it, and you decided to revisit it with this book. So tell us more.
Thanks, Belinda. Hi, everybody. All right. Are you smoky yet? We're going to be smoking. And we have lots of stuff here. Okay. Am I on?
You're
hearing me?
Yeah, you're good, girl.
Good. Okay. All right. We are making breakfast tacos today. I mean, tacos are great any time of the day, of course, but there's a specific kind of taco from South Texas originally that's just known as a breakfast taco. And it's typically made with a flour tortilla instead of corn. And then it often has, well, whatever is left over from the night before. And we're going to be baking it today with some smoky brisket and also some morning eggs. So we'll do that in just a minute. Now, these tacos kind of came from San Antonio, kind of the Rio Grande region, up through Austin. Heck, in Dallas now, you can even get a really great breakfast taco too. But you're going to be able to make them in your own kitchen wherever you are in the country now. Okay, a little bit of background. Now, the difference between grilling and smoking is that they go very opposite directions with the heat. And grilling is a high heat, fast cooking method for really tender pieces of food. Smoking, barbecue smoking, was originated as a way to tenderize really tough cuts. I mean, whole hogs or half sides of beef, or a cut like a brisket in this case. So they need low, slow cooking. And not only do they need a low temperature, but there needs to be some smoldering wood involved with the process to have that great smoky flavor that we all associate with great barbecue today. Okay, Now, we gave you lots of different options for how to make this work today. Some of you I know have gone to your neighborhood barbecue restaurant. They're starting to open back up all over the country. And you've gotten some big old hunk of brisket, or maybe you chose to do turkey. We did that as an alternative if you don't eat beef, but you might have a big chunk of brisket that you acquired at a neighborhood place. Now, we also were thinking about how to put this together. I see Mark Chi on the screen there. And okay, we're thinking about Mark in his high rise in New York City. And okay, how's he gonna do this? So we decided that we would think about doing stovetop smoking too. And I just absolutely love the Stovetop Smoker, which is over here. And it looks like a sheet cake pan that has a little tray in the bottom of it. And under that goes wood dust in this case. And I've got some hickory today, but there are lots of different wood flavors. Oak is a good neutral wood. For smoking, you want a hardwood. Nothing resinous like, say, juniper or cedar. Those are things that are in my part of the world here in the Southwest. But a hardwood, a fruit wood, nut wood, something like that is what you want to use. And in this case, with a Stovetop Smoker, and we have a special on those through my friends at the Santa Fe School of Cooking, you can get a real deal on that in the book and other things too that I'm going to talk about. It's wood dust. It's really fine. So depending on the size smoker you have, I mean, I have an offset firebox pit from a company in Texas called Pits and Spits, and it burns these big logs. And sometimes you can use chunks or chips. I know Belinda's got some chip soaking there too. Any of those things will work depending on the size of the smoker. And the Stovetop Smoker is just so darn easy. Okay, I'm gonna take a tray out. And in this, we just need a couple of tablespoons of the wood dust. And then we put our tray back in here. And some of you would have seen the directions that we sent to smoke a brisket in the Stovetop Smoker. Okay, a brisket really needs more than an hour a pound for, you know, it to get tender. And so that you weren't smoking all day long in your kitchen, I came up with a way to take a smaller piece of brisket, a 3-pound section of what's called the flat cut, which is the bottom portion of the brisket. It's often used for corned beef and pastrami in other cultures and such. So those are all, you know, things that you might be able to use for this. And then I put it in a braising liquid that went into the oven for the first 3 hours of its cooking. So we used beer, and then I did a dry rub, and a dry rub is one of the big, bold ways to flavor barbecue foods. To add more smoke to it, I used smoked paprika. I used a hickory smoked salt. There's some brown sugar in here. There's pepper, a little chili. Any of those kinds of things are good in a dry rub. That got rubbed, put all over the surface of the meat, and then it cooked in the oven for the 3 hours, and then I finished it in the Stovetop Smoker.
Hey Cheryl, what would be a substitute for beer? Would it just be like wine?
You could use chicken or beef stock. In
Right.
fact, turned out I didn't have a beer when I went to make this yesterday. So I had to figure out a jury-rigged process myself. So I did some chicken stock and some beef stock combined for the liquid in mine.
Okay.
All right. Now, after you've done it in the oven, you take your piece of beef, it goes into the smoker, and
we should also mention in your recipe, which everyone should download, it's in the registration link. We added it a little later. I love that you can save that liquid, the braising liquid, and then decant it in a way and use it to make other sauces, which
it makes a great barbecue sauce. And in fact, you can add one of the 2 products I'm going to show here, and it's a part of the Cheryl Summer Barbecue Kit that you can get too. Okay, after you've used the smoker for like 1 hour, this is what you're going to end up with. It's going to be crusty on the surface. Now, one of the things that a dry rub does, besides give the big, bold flavor to food, is that it helps form a crust on the surface. And so we have this nice crusty bit that's going to be so good, either to just eat it plain, if we did that, or to put in our tacos today, too. Now, one of the things Belinda and I were talking about is that she remembered her mom doing wok smoking, like for a duck. And you can use a wok or any other kind of sort of MacGyvered or jerry-rigged pan or something to do this too. You just want to put your wood in the bottom of it and then some kind of rack above it like this particular thing has. And then you can close it up. You just get a little bit of heat going, the smoke starts, and you can put foil on top or if you've got a wok lid, any of those things will work too. So there are lots of ways you can get this result. And the Stovetop Smoker does make it easy. And if you like the idea of doing some smoke cooking and you just want to be able to smoke things in your kitchen that you don't have to run outside, or maybe you don't have an outside, you can just use Stovetop Smoker.
I think we have a couple good examples out in the audience. Of
I love it. Look at everybody. This is so cool.
Bailey's doing it in a Dutch oven.
Yes.
Foil, which
back in there, yeah, or some foil, whatever.
Smoker proper. I know Garish has like a legit sort of smoker situation too.
Yes, we got a good outside one there. All right.
He's crushing it with the smoker situation. Like that's the one.
That's really good.
I'm fired up right now.
Typically I would smoke on something like that when I'm making brisket, but we wanted to make sure that everybody could do this. And I'm really, really pleased with the results that we have by doing that braising technique with the liquid that has smoky ingredients, and then finishing off with the dry rub and the smoke in the Stovetop Smoker.
Real quick, can I just ask you, I've watched a lot of videos on this since we knew that we were going to do this segment. Do some people do like a dry rub and then just smoke first, like do the heat and cook it in the oven later? Like
different ways that you could do this. I decided that I'd like to put the smoke on it last, do the oven cooking first and then finish it with the smoke, because I thought the flavor of the smoke would be fullest. And also the smoking process is going to dry it out. And at this point, I wanted to do that so that I'd get some crustiness on the surface of it. So we've got the contrast of the nice tender inside meat and then some of the crustier surface meat. And that's what I pulled here. And that's what we're going to put together with egg in just a minute.
Some pictures where like the brisket has that real black kind of, is there a name for that where it has that black?
Bark. Bark.
When you're really killing it and you're winning on the competition circuit, you want the bark, right? That kind of.
Want that bark. All right. Well, so when you pull and shred the brisket for this, it's nicest to have some of that dark bark and some of that more tender inside meat. And I just shredded it here. And now I'm going to add some egg to this. Some of you know I have my own backyard chickens who have all kinds of beautiful colors of eggs. And
you have to follow Cheryl on Instagram because then you can visit with the chickens. I mean,
that's right. And I can tell you, I mean, not only can I tell you, that the eggs came from my backyard, I know which two chickens these came from. These eggs this morning are from Dulce and Chicory. Oh, so there's traceability in your food. Okay, I mixed those up. I actually put them together with a little bit of a green chili mustard because I'm in the Southwest. We put chili in everything. And this is Old Pecos Foods mustard. It's available in that same kit that we've been talking about. You can order that. Okay, I'm going to put these in here with the brisket. And from some of our other weeks of Boozy Brunch, we've watched people do nice scrambles of eggs. And we want to make sure it doesn't get too hot. We want nice soft curds to form here. So it's going kind of slowly. And while that's cooking, low heat.
That's one of the things I've learned is to put a little liquid in the eggs. Like none of these kind of professionals like you who've been on just do eggs. They always add a little cream or
a little something in it. Yeah, a little cream, a little milk, even a little water helps with the texture of it. But we've got our little mustard in this case. All right, while that's cooking, I wanted to go quickly to the salsa that we're going to put on this, which we could just use, okay, this is tomato salsa. You could just do a basic salsa like this, or a pico de gallo, which is typically a fresh relish kind of salsa with tomatoes and jalapenos and things. But just to do a little bit different kind of thing because it's barbecue, and I want to honor the various traditions that have come into play in Texas barbecue that include African American, Tex-Mex, oh my goodness, goodness, the German and Eastern European folks who settled in the center of Texas. But today there's so much more. There's lots of Asian influence, Vietnamese, Korean, and others. Okay, I'm adding some barbecue sauce to my salsa. And this is really,
that comes in your kit. Yeah.
This comes with a kit. And I think somewhere out there in Zoom land today are Gaither and Susie Gonzalez. They're the ones here in Santa Fe who have this company north of the border. And they're the ones who make this great product. They live down the road from me, so I've known about this for a really long time. And it's great stuff.
So cool.
Yeah.
For that.
So cool.
Okay, I'm gonna we're gonna make this into more of a vinaigrette. So I'm gonna add just a touch of some olive oil to it. Just a basic good olive oil, doesn't have to be anything fantastic. All right, then we're gonna do a squeeze of lime. And you might have a naked lime from Caho's, different garnishes and all.
Yeah.
Do you have you probably have an amazing garden too, don't you, out there at home?
I do. I have a lot of things in my garden, lots of herbs, and I've got some tomatoes growing, radishes, carrots, some other good stuff too. So I can, and by a little bit later in the summer, I'll be able to make my own salsa too. Okay, so that's all we have to do for our mixture that's going to garnish our tacos here in just a minute. And this is looking good. You might want to add a little salt to this, just depending on the saltiness of the meat itself.
Oh, it's delicious.
Oh, you could also put some refried beans in this. You could just smear that over the surface of the tortillas if you liked. Some hash browns, or just some leftover kind of fried potatoes could be good in this, mixed in.
Throw it all.
Play around with it.
Throw it all.
I love it.
Okay, I've got in my oven here, I've been warming a couple of tortillas. I kind of went a little bit backwards on this so that they would already be warm. I brushed them with a little bit of butter to begin with. I put some cheese in here so it could be melting while we were making this. Now I've got to kind of figure out how to open them.
The magic of TV moments. Magic of TV. It's ready.
Really? Okay. And
but like this taco, you could use, this could be a vegetarian if you had like some mushrooms or eggplant. Or
we were talking early, kind of before we went on the air, about some vegetarian things. Yeah, you could certainly smoke mushrooms, onions, tomatoes, any of those things are good. Eggplant is good and meaty.
I need to smoke mushrooms. I'm so excited to do that. Yum.
Well, they add such flavor to things. Okay, I have the melted cheese in here, but I'm just going to, for good measure, put a little more cheese on. Yeah. Get my other one here. How's everybody doing out there that's making one today?
Look at these. They're working.
Good. Looks so delicious. Cheryl.
Good.
There's a downtown.
We're going to smoke after this.
There's Chicago. Bailey, let's see what you got.
Bailey's got going there. All right.
Down a little. She's in it. I think that Nina and Megan also. Hey, Meg, let's see what's going on there. Show us your pan. Yeah. There it is. She's got avocado going in too.
Excellent. Good idea.
There we go. Okay.
There it is.
Oh, excellent.
Good.
You're such a good team. Okay, so I'm going to put now some of that barbecue salsa vinaigrette along these.
I see a jalapeno. Yes.
Oh, yeah. And I might eat it after all of this, too.
So hungry.
Okay.
Wow. I mean, come on. That's brunch.
Yeah, how's everybody else doing? You got one?
But do we have one yet, Gabe? I'm looking.
We're waiting. But look, they're working.
I know they're working hard. They're just a couple of
There we go.
seconds behind me there. There you go. That looks fantastic.
That's advice on the extra cheese, Cheryl.
Quick.
I'm one of those people who thinks there can never be too much cheese.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's so much fun.
But see, you can make this so easily, you know, whether you're cooking in a stovetop smoker, even a jerry-rig stovetop smoker, or you've got the big pit outside. We can have some really great results either way. Anyway, we were talking earlier that there is a package available. It's discounted, you know, for Boozy Brunch shoppers, and it's through the Santa Fe School of Cooking, through my good friends there. And it's SantaFeSchoolOfCooking.com, or you can call them at, let's see, it's 505-983. Let's see, 983-5111, something like that. Go to Santa Fe SchoolOfCooking.com. That'll work better.
Cheryl, I'm glad that you said that, because when we were originally talking, we were thinking like we wanted to do the everything of New Mexico, and maybe another episode, because I think a lot of us are really interested in learning more about everything, you know, Santa Fe, because I don't know a lot about that style. But
I'd love to have you come back, and we'll do some very specific New Mexican foods and all that. So
love
to show off Texas Q today with some New Mexican ingredients too. So again, you'll get that Chipotle ketchup if you get the package. You'll get the, and that's from north of the border. And then there's the Old Pecos Foods green chili mustard. Ooh, such great stuff. You'll have a lot of fun with that all summer long.
we loved having you here. Cheers, everyone, and bon appetit, everyone who's been cooking along. That was Cheryl Jameson. Her Instagram is Excited About Food, and that's also her website. And then we'll also resend everybody the information about the Santa Fe School of Cooking, where you can get her book signed and all these cool toys to play with. That
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I didn't mention that those books would all be signed. They'll be personalized if you want them signed to yourself in particular. Yeah.
We love it. And we love you so much. Cheryl, thank you for joining us. All these